Hey, what's up everybody? Ralph here. So today's topic, I'm going to talk to you guys about how you can fix your credit yourself. So if you're thinking about talking to a credit repair company, but you want to save some money, I'll provide you some ways in which you can just do it yourself and save you some money. So the first thing you want to do is you want to order your reports, right? Because you want to review it. So the place where you can get it is annualcreditreport.com. They allow you access to all three of your credit reports once every 12 months. So you can get that free, you can download it and then have access to all your reports. The easier way would be to, like, once you download it, you have access to all of them on your computer screen so you can review it. But if you don't have access to, if you don't have like a tri-merge account where you can put all three of them up on the screen, then just download it, print it, and then just lay them down on your desk and then review each one individually, because each credit report obviously has different information. So you want to make sure you're reviewing each of them individually so you can view what's on there. And the way it's set up is each credit report is like, you'll usually first see like your personal information, your account history with all your credit information. Then you'll get inquiries, and then you'll get like public records where it usually has like bankruptcies and stuff like that. So that's the way it's just set up. So once you download it, right, now it's basically you got to go over it, right? So what I want you to do is like get a highlighter, because what you're going to do is as you're going through it, you're going to make sure you highlight all the negative information or everything that you want to dispute later on. All right, so the first thing we're going to go over is verifying your personal information. And that's usually like your name, your address, your current address, your date of birth, your social security number, which you should probably have like the last 4 digits. So you can review that information. You want to make sure everything is correct on that. Like you don't want information where your previous address is currently at your current address, right? You want to make sure everything is accurate, and you want anything that you see that's not accurate, you make sure you highlight it. All right. The next thing you want to do is make sure that there's correct reporting. So let's say that there's something that says there was a late payment, but you don't have any late payments. You haven't paid any bills late. You want to make sure you highlight that. All right. Next thing is look for like banks and like stores that are on your account, like say Best Buy. If you got like a Best Buy account that doesn't belong there, make sure you highlight that. All right. And the last thing is look for accounts that are negative, right? That negative activity. So let's say, going back to like the late payments, if let's say there's one that says 90 days late, but you've only been like 30 days late, you want to mark that. If you have any like charge-offs, right, any negative items that might be affecting your credit, make sure you highlight that, right, so you can dispute it later. All right. So now once you've highlighted everything, now it comes down. Now it's time to dispute. All right. So the way you want to do disputing is, the first thing you want to do is I know it's for everyone, it's easy when you're disputing to just click that button that says dispute online. Like you go to these bureaus and you can dispute online. Don't do that. All right. You want to make sure you do, if you're going to dispute anything, you want to make sure you dispute everything by mail. All right. You want to leave a paper trail. The reason being is because once you hit that dispute button online, you basically waive your rights to you waive your consumer rights. Like say you want to sue later, or you want to verify stuff and you want to sue the bureaus because they didn't respond. Once you hit the dispute online button, you basically you limit your rights, and that's what they want you to do. Right? So what you want to do is you want to make sure everything is mailed to them. It's a slow process, but it's necessary to get certain things done. If there's any complication, you want to make sure you leave a paper trail so you're identifying everything that you've done. And also when you're sending the mail, you want to make sure you send a certified, just make sure that they received it. All right. So that's the first thing. Make sure when you're disputing, you make sure you don't dispute anything online. Everything is done through the mail. All right. Now, when you're sending out that first dispute letter, you want to make sure you also provide them with a photo ID. And remember, everything is going to the boroughs first. You want to make sure you provide them with a photo ID and a copy of like your utility bill. Right? Because they want to verify that the person is you. So when you're sending that first dispute letter, you want to make sure it contains your photo ID and a utility bill. And then once you send letters after that, you don't have to do that. So that first letter, they just want to verify that it's you. All right. So the first thing is we're going to send, when you're disputing, the first thing we're sending letters to the boroughs. All right. So that these are the first people that you want to send to, and when you're sending everything that you marked, that you highlighted, we're going to send it to them first because you want them to verify that this information, that all these negative items are yours. And what happens is when you send these negative items, they then say, all right, they look at the information and then they go to these creditors and they do the work for you. So they basically say, let's say if you have some information, negative items from like, let's say Visa or any credit card. So the bureaus take this information and they send it to the credit cards, that creditor or Visa, and say, all right, you want to verify this information. So if they don't get back to the bureaus within like 30 days, then they just wipe that information off from your credit report. So that's why you want to first send it to the bureau, because then they're going to do the work for you. They'll do all the verification for you. All right, so you send it to them so they can verify the information for you. So this is what you need to understand, the way the dispute process works, especially when you're sending it to the bureaus first. All right, so any info that is found to be, let's say, that's not accurate, you have the bureaus have to update that information. All right, so anything that you marked off that's not accurate, like you tell them that it's not accurate, they have to update that information. All right, so that's one. Number two, if your information that you're disputing cannot be verified, so like let's say that you ask the bureaus to verify this information is yours, and let's say they go to that credit card company, but they never get a response. So therefore, if that information is not, if they can't verify, that has to get removed from your credit report. Okay. Number three, let's say there's some incomplete info. All right. They can't, the information that's on your credit report is incomplete. The bureaus then have to update that information, and that's up to them to figure it out and have to update the information. And number four, if the account doesn't belong to you, if they find out through the verification process that the account doesn't belong to you, they have to delete that off your credit report. All right, so these are things, the way the dispute process works. And this is when you're sending it off to them. And remember, when you're disputing, like let's say you got 20 items that you want to dispute, the experts recommend that you don't dispute all 20 of it. Because if you send all 20 of them to the bureaus, the bureaus tend to find that as frivolous. All right, so the most you want to send is no more than 5 items that first time, right? Boom, 5. Done, they come back to you. All right, then you send another 5. Don't send a whole bunch of disputes, because then they're gonna see it as frivolous and say, all right, you're just trying to overwhelm them, and they're not gonna take you serious. All right, so you want to send them more than 5. Yes, it's a long process, but this is the way it's done. You want to make sure you do it right and you do it accurately, and make sure you're getting results. All right, so once you're sending all these once you're sending these disputed items to them, it takes like 30 to 45 days for them to get back to you. And when it gets back to you, they're going to say either one or two things. They're going to come back to you and say, all right, we found out that this information was inaccurate or wasn't verified, and they're either going to delete it or say update it, all right? Or they're going to come back and say that the information was verified, all right? Now, when it comes back and say that it's verified, don't give up. What you're going to then do is, now you're going to go after the creditors. All right. Now, this process, remember, what we sent to the bureaus was a verification letter. All right. Now, when we send it to creditors, we're going to send a validation letter, right? A debt validation. Okay. Now, the way this works is, debt validations are usually for debt collectors, right? Now, if you have a debt with a Visa, right, the original creditor, now you're not going to send the debt validation to them, because it doesn't work on original creditors. This works on third-party debt collectors. So let's say you got Visa and they sent it to a third-party debt collector, then that's when you want to send them a debt validation letter. Okay. So once you get it, once the bureaus come back and say that it's verified, you're gonna say, all right, let's send the debt validation letter to the debt collector. Right? And now they need to validate that this debt is yours, and they have to prove that this debt belongs to you. If they can't do that, they then have to delete that. Okay, so you're gonna send this debt validation letter to them, and you're gonna wait 30, 45 days. They're gonna go through the process, and they're gonna come back and say, all right, we were able to validate it, or they're gonna say, all right, we can't, and then they're gonna have to delete it. Or they may not respond. But there's different ways, and there's different, if they don't respond, then there's other letters that you're gonna send. So I'm not gonna get into that because it's a little bit complicated. This is just a quick basic process of how this works when it comes to fixing credit yourself. So yeah, so once you send them the debt validation letter, they're going to come back to you and say that it doesn't belong to you, and they'll remove it, or they'll say that it belongs to you. And then there's certain processes after that, right? And don't give up. This is like when it comes to fixing your credit, it's a process. It's a back and forth. Sometimes they're going to come back to you and say it's verified, and then you got to come back and send another letter. It's a back and forth process that how it works. So it takes time, but it's definitely, if you're persistent and you keep pushing, you keep applying pressure to these creditors, then eventually you get removed. Now, some people try to remove things that actually do belong to them. Like they say you owe a debt, and they try to get that removed. Technically, you shouldn't be doing that, because it's illegal. It's kind of illegal to do that, to dispute something that's actually accurate, right? Now, there's ways that you can get it off if they can't verify the information. If they can't, like, everything has on your credit report, everything has to be accurate. And if they're unable to verify the information, then it has to get removed. So there's ways of doing it, but you want to be careful, right? You don't out there, you don't want to say that remove this item because it doesn't belong to me when it actually does, because that's kind of illegal. But the process is, if you see something that doesn't belong to you, it's a back and forth, and it's about sending different letters. And depending on the response, after you send one letter, depending on the response, then you then send different letters. So that's pretty much the basic is what you, and you need to understand, like, when it comes to verification and validation. Verification is when you send to the bureaus. Right? You want to verify the information is yours. The verification letters you send to bureaus, and then validation letters is what you send to debt collectors, right? So once you've done that, and then you've gotten all that information, you've gotten everything straightened out. Now the process is you want to add positive items to your account, right? So you want to help rebuild your credit. Right? Now, the best way to do that, there's different ways, but the best way to do it is then now you want to apply for, like, credit cards or credits that's going to help boost your credit. Because now you want to make sure, because the best ways to improve your credit is basically the two biggest ways is making payments on your credit cards, making payments, and that's throughout time, and also making sure you keep a low utilization rate. So let's say you have $1,000 on your credit, you have $1,000 maximum credit card, and you want to make sure you keep that utilization rate low, usually below 30-40%, but I try to keep it even lower than that. So yeah, you want to keep it as low as possible. I try to keep it below like 15%. So that's the way you rebuild your credit. So after you've gotten all those negative items on your account, it's then now time to rebuild it. So apply for credit cards, make payments on them on time, and make sure you keep your balances low. If you're someone that can't handle the credit cards, then don't get one. But if you want to start rebuilding your credit after you've gotten all those items out the way, applying, making sure you're getting credit cards. If you're going to purchase a home, getting a mortgage and making payments, adding a good mix of credits. Getting a car loan and making payments on that loan. So these are ways to build your credit back up. So I hope you found this information helpful. And this was just like a basic way of doing it. There's more advanced ways, but if you're just starting the process of just trying to repair your credit, these are like basic ways to do that. So hopefully you found this the information helpful. If you got any questions, make sure to leave a comment down below. Hit the like button and subscribe, right? So take care and have a good one, guys. Later.